Hi everyone, my name is Kaikun6 and I'm here to do the 8th episode of Playlist Stories. And before I start with this week's episode, if you hear any type of background noise, just ignore it. It's just some mess that I've been working on in this small room. Like, I still have a lot to clean up. I still have a pile of clothes everywhere. So if you hear a random noise that fell or something, just ignore it. And then, my dog's being goofy and stuff today for some reason because of the cat. Because we started having, like, not actual fall weather, but, like, the effects of it where leaves have been falling off our trees. So he's been freaking out over these leaves falling, and he's been playing with it. And the dog, just feels like she wants to play with the cat. But, she loves to play rough anyway. So we just thought, like, if you hear any type of barking, just ignore her. So there you go. So let's start with this week's episode. As you can see in the title, Almost Over by Limp Bizkit. This song was very, very near and dear to me a lot when I was like growing up and stuff, because like I said before, Results May Vary was like such a lovely, lovely album for me. Like, I love it and I still listen to it as of today. And in high school, I remember I used to listen to it all the time. Like, it was just like one of the first albums I have to listen to before I start my day. And so I remembered doing that, and then all of a sudden I had to actually stop myself from listening to music at one point because it was hindering my focus when it came to like my finals from like between my first and my second semester of like senior year. So I went through like this 3-day period where I didn't listen to music. So like Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays were kind of like those days they chose to us that, to do exams and for the finals and tests and all this stuff, so we just thought, okay, well, I need to concentrate, and that's what I did. And then after that, home freedom, Saturday, I could be listening to music again. And for some reason, I remember falling asleep that Friday night and waking up to Saturday morning because of this dream that I had where, it was like this song that played in the background, like in my dreams, in that dream specifically. And we were kind of like, I was vibing to it, and I was hanging out with my friends in high school. We were like in Stoner Park and stuff. So it was kind of like we were vibing or something. So immediately once that song ended, I woke up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check the group chat to see if everybody else is, has anybody else woken up? And of course they did. They were like saying good morning to each other. And the only one person that never showed up on the group chat was the individual that I'll be mentioning. And his name is Clash. Like, he went by Clash, but his real name is like Jake or Jacob. So, and it's for some reason, our group of friends, especially in this group chat, they called him Jake or Jacob and never Clash. And I was wondering why. So I remembered I was just saying good morning, Clash, and everyone was like confused, like who the hell is Clash? And then Clash would be messaging saying like, hey, good morning everybody. And they're like, oh, what the hell, like we always called you Jake. And it's like, why are you going by Clash now? And it's like, I don't know. I just love the band called Clash, The Clash, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna listen. I listen to them all the time now, so I might as well get my nickname for that. And I was like, cool, So since then, they still call him Jake or Jacob, but I still call him Clash because it's like, for me, it's kind of like the same thing that went with Rep. I can never see him as Nick. So for me, I'm like, he doesn't look like a Jake or a Jacob. Like he looks like Clash, so I always called him Clash. So we like during the time of that group chat that Saturday, we were like messaging each other and stuff, like kind of like, oh, what are you doing for the day and stuff. And then I remember specifically he said that was the day that he was going to be moving to Connecticut, I think, because at the time he had a really, really rough time with his previous job that he used to live at in Canada. And all I remember was like he lived like 25 to 50 miles away, like above Michigan, like above the lakes. So it was kind of weird for him to be like, yeah, no, I gotta move, I gotta go to Connecticut. And I was wondering what happened. And he's like, no, nothing major, nothing serious. It's just I just wanted to move to the States because I want to be closer to my mom and my grandma. And at the time they were living like in this small town in Connecticut where they kind of knew each other. So he was on his he was on his way to move to Connecticut because, oh, now I remember what happened. Now I remember. It was because, like, one of his uncles died or something, and, like, he couldn't afford the place that he was living at the time, so he just thought that, well, I'm still doing, the substitute teacher thing, I'm not earning that much money, and, like, but my family will still want to support me, and so he moved to Connecticut to be closer to his mom and grandma, and he was really close with his uncle at the time, but a lot of things has happened since then, and if I remembered, like, he got killed or something, I don't know, like, it's supposedly he said it was in the news, I don't know, but all I remember was he was crying for, like, weeks on end about it, and when he finally, like, went to the funeral and stuff, he just decided, I can't stay here no more, I'm gonna go move to my mom and grandma, and so he moved. And I was like, okay, well, have a safe trip. And if you need to talk to somebody, we're here. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And so once in a while, during the day, like maybe once every couple hours, he'll send like a picture or a video in the group chat, like where like he was traveling in these highways from like Canada and Connecticut, where he was just like, kind of like, oh, I'm on my way, you guys, I'm like 14 hours away or something, or I was just like, that's weird. And then he'll like change that, he's like, oh, I made a mistake, I'm only like 6 hours away or something, and it was just so funny, and he always took breaks in between those few hours so that he can stretch his legs and put gas in his car, all that other stuff. And then eventually, like, I want to say Sunday or Monday, I want to say Monday, because I remembered I went to school immediately and I was like checking the group chats, and he was like, oh, I'm already here, I'm in Connecticut. And I'm like, oh, great, like, just get to know the town, get to know your mom and grandma again, because you haven't seen them in years, so bond over them, have some time. And he's like, I have to, but I have to go to work and stuff. And I was just like, immediately, like, I thought they gave you like a week off. And he's like, no, I still had to do some sort of like orientation thing, or he had to do like a bunch of paperwork, I don't know, but it was like the usual thing when you get transferred the from like one place to another. It was like you need to sign some paperwork and get to know the staff and stuff like that. So he did that for like an entire week, and I remember that after that week, and then on that Monday he started working like part-time as a substitute teacher. So it was like he had this like huge break in the week where he would like message me, and I was just like, all right, cool. And I would like try to catch up with him and stuff like that, like, oh, like, how's Connecticut doing, like, like, is it handling you really well? And he'll like start making jokes and stuff like that. So it was just nice, so every single time, like, I would get messages from Clash, like, it was just always some random stuff, like, it was random stuff, and I was like, what happened today? And I don't know, you guys, like, he has a very interesting life. He does, because every single time, like, he'll like put on the group chat, like, saying, you guys, something just happened to me today. And then we're always like, everything happens to you every single day, like, so what's the difference this time? And it was like he was upping the levels every time, like, and I remember this one specific memory that he told me, like, while he was like still in Canada, and it was kind of like one of the reasons why he moved, but it was like like, I just had enough of the school system over there or something. But anyway, this specific memory, like this memory that he had, it was just like, I need to leave, and I was just like, no, that's not it, because you just dealt with your uncle's death, so you just need to leave and you need to be closer to your family. It's like, yeah, but something happened, you guys, I need to tell you. So he told me this story, and I just thought that was really funny. But then looking back on it, I'm like, oh boy, I wonder how did this people really handled it, because at the time, a lot of things has changed. A lot of more people will like to go in depth when it comes to certain situations, and they'll be like, oh, they should have handled it this way or this way. But at that time, nobody knew how to handle it. So it was fresh, we didn't know how, and whatever. So what happened was, like, how he started out was, like, at the time, he was like, you guys, I was dating this guy, and I was like, oh, like, you're dating a guy now. Because last time you told you were dating a girl. And it's like, oh, forget her. You know, like, I don't know nothing about her. Because, like, at the time he came out to us as bisexual that year. So he was, like, dating both boys and girls. And then they were, like, interchanging every single time whenever he was dating. So this time was, like, a guy. I think. Yeah, I think it was a guy this time. Because he said that he was also a substitute teacher that he got to know while he was, like, in Canada. And, like, he really liked the guy. So he was like, you know what, I'm going to give him a chance. Gave him a chance. And then when he found out he was going to get transferred, this teacher was also going to get transferred to another school in Canada to teach something else. I don't know. But it was just, like, a mess. So they're, like, trying to say goodbyes, technically. So they were like, you know what, like, let's just hang out one more time before we have officially, you know, say goodbye. So they went to this mall. Like, it was like a local mall over there, and apparently they knew each other, like, from association or something. And then this random student, like, it was like no longer going to this school at all where Clash was teaching at the time. And this student was, like, getting suspended a lot from fights and stuff like that. And I remember it was, like, a girl student. That's all I remembered. And she, like, freaked out or something because she saw Clash. I was like, oh, my God, I haven't seen you in forever. And then he was like, yeah, like, okay, whatever. And it's like, what are you doing with Mr. So-and-so? Because I actually don't remember that other teacher's name. And he was like, oh, we're just hanging out and stuff. Like, what are you doing here? Like, shouldn't you be, like, in school suspension or something? It's like, no, I just got out of it. And so now I'm just hanging out with my friends at the mall. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. Like, I gotta go. And then like, one of her friends told her, like, oh, you know, he's on a date. And she freaked out for some reason. Like, I don't know why. She freaked out. And then proceeded to, like, yell at him in front of a Hot Topic employee. And this happened in a Hot Topic. And so he got smacked in the butt by this female student. And he freaked out. He was like, you guys, I think their parents are gonna sue me. I don't know. He was freaking out. And everybody started laughing in this chat. And so did I. Because I was just like, why did this happen to you, you know? It's like, I don't know. But I'm so glad that she was not a minor, because it would have been such a more serious offense, because I don't know how the parents are going to take it. And so the Hot Topic employee at the time that witnessed this, she had to call the cops. She was like, this student is basically, like, kind of like disrupting the peace of this store, blah, 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 blah. They handled everything. I don't know. It was so strange, you guys. Like, I was like, I didn't even believe it at first. And he showed me, like, pictures of it before, and I wish I could have kept them, because it was so funny. Like, they showed, like, this girl, like, she was, like, this short little girl that just yelled, like, outside the store for some reason, and then, like, her friends were freaking out for her. I don't know. It was just so weird. And he was freaking out. Like, he even showed a selfie of him freaking out, and then that was, like, his boyfriend at the time that took the photo. And I don't know what else. I was like, this dude, I don't believe you. And he's like, no, you guys, I'm telling you, like, my ass hurts. I was like, what the hell? And like, don't show us a picture of your ass, you know? And then, like, he never proceeded to show us a picture, of course, because he said he got smacked so hard it left, like, a bruise on him for a week. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And then, I don't know, and then after that, like, he just started upping the levels with these incidences that's been happening to him ever since, like, from when he moved to, you know, like, from Canada to Connecticut. And then there was one time where he was like, he, like, shared another story with us. It was like, dudes, you know, like, you will not believe what just happened. I'm like, okay, here we go again. What's going on now, Clash? And then he shared the story about this, his ex-girlfriend of his that freaked out on him too. That they were, like, hanging out in this Italian restaurant. I don't know. All I remember was, like, it was such a nice day. They were, like, having fun. They were only, like, dating for a few months. And then all of a sudden, people were freaking out in this restaurant for some reason. They were, like, hanging outside. Like, the employees came out there. It was just like, what's going on here? They were locking up all the doors to prevent from, like, this crowd of people moving in. And they were like, oh my God, it's David Tennant. And he freaked out immediately. He was just like, where is David Tennant? And he was just like, okay, where is he? So I could take a picture and, like, you know, be a fanboy for a little bit. And I've always joked around with him for this, because I've told my family and friends, like, especially my friends, like, Clash, he kind of looks like David Tennant. Like, I've seen pictures of him and he kind of looks at him, but like he has a more rounder chin, you know. So it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to distinguish between the two. So I'm guessing at the time people thought that David Tennant was somewhere in a local restaurant in Connecticut, and people were freaking out. They're like, oh my god, that's David Tennant. And they will take pictures. There were like flashes everywhere, and he was like, this happens to me all the time. Like, I swear I need to go get plastic surgery. And everyone was like, no, don't get plastic surgery. And I was the same way. I was like, yeah, don't do it. Like, do you like the way that you look? And he's like, yes, I do, but I should get plastic surgery because I don't want to get mistaken with the celebrity. And for like, I think it was like a couple years after that, people just started, like, you know, they got him confused. They really have. And then it gotten worse over the time when actual David Tennant was actually in Doctor Who. So everybody thought that, you know, he was in this local places in Connecticut or somewhere else, because I remember he moved around a lot after that too, like for many years. Like, I think he moved like a state like every 2 years or something due to his job. And then his relationship with his mom and grandma, you know, kind of like, it got better, it got worse, I don't know. They were always fighting all the time. But it was like not his fault though, because there was a lot of things that has happened to him over the years where his mom and grandma would ground him for no reason. Like, I think I remember this specific one that I remember sharing with like my personal friends. I was on like my Facebook at the like in the time where he would say some weird stuff, and for some reason, like, he'll attract girls because of the way that he looks, of course, because I'm like, hey, like, David Tennant was really, you know, a big time issue at the time. So everybody thought they found like his personal Facebook, and they were kind of like messaging him and stuff like that. And this one specific girl that I saw like on his personal Facebook was that you know, was flirting with him, and just, I don't know, he was not having it, because like he was still dating this girl at the time, and I know it's been like almost 1.5 years into the relationship, so she was not having it at all. She was trying to, you know, diffuse the situation, and this woman kept flirting with Clash. So eventually he was like, be gone, thought, and like, you're such a ratchet, and this and this and this. And I just laughed, because I actually saw this conversation like in real life time where they were like arguing with each other, and this woman was like not getting the message at all. And so I saw this conversation like almost to a halt when the mom and the grandma was like getting into this fight. It was just like, you know, son, you need to treat this woman with respect, because we don't know what happened with her. We don't know what's her upbringing. So you need to, like, you know, treat her as if she's a woman. And then the woman in there was just like, thank you. At least somebody knows how to treat me with respect. And then after that, like, she just got offended for some reason, and she started fighting again with Clash. And then Clash was like, I'm not having it, blocks her on Facebook. And then he says something really mean about her, and then all of a sudden, here comes mom and grandma, just like, I'm gonna ground your ass. And he was like, no, like, mom, you don't understand what just happened. It's like, I don't care, you're grounded. And he always got grounded over some stupid stuff, you guys. He really did. Most of the time, it would be like, I'm gonna take over the world one day, I'm gonna be singing like Usher one day, or I'm gonna be throwing hands like Chris Brown did at Rihanna. And I was like, what are you saying on Facebook, you know? And he will get grounded for it, you guys. And it's just so hilarious. I don't know, like, and I think at the time, like, I was just like, I was going through like these moves in Texas, and I would still see these conversations going, and I don't know, I just thought it was really funny, you guys. And still as of today, I don't know if he still gets grounded with his grandma, because the last message I got for him was like back in 2020, where I know it was like right after the snowstorm and stuff. That was like a really bad snowstorm where we had to replace all the plumbing here, and thanks to my mom and helping out like my family, they gave us the money to do the plumbing, because my in-laws didn't want to help with that, because they thought, oh, that's just too much money, we don't have that type of money, we can't help you. So I had to go rely on my family for that, and so and we're still paying back for that. We're gonna try at least. And so he messaged me just saying like, you know, what's been going on, and he had to move to like California at some time, then he moved back to Connecticut with his mom and grandma, and then I don't know what else, but he was moving around like a lot of these northeastern states for many years on end, and then all the way to the north, and I don't know what else, but like he was still sending me photos. But then in 2020 it was kind of like the last message I got from him, where he was like, you know, I'm moving back to Connecticut. And I was just like, what happened? And he said, oh, I can't handle these students no more that I was working on, and that just it was like he was doing like a remedial class or something, and he was a sub still, and I don't know, it was just like his job got so complicated, and then they offered him something better back in Connecticut, so he moved back so he can be, you know, near his mom and grandma, because I think his like he said that his grandma got sick, and they don't know if, you know, she'll recover or not, and so he wanted to be close to her and stuff. It's like, okay. And then I remember I mentioned like, you know, like, do you still remember, you know, details about your uncle and stuff? And he's like, no, I don't. They're not really saying anything to me, and I choose not to, because like I just don't want to know how he got killed and stuff. And I was like, oh, that sucks, you know. And so after that, like, I just haven't heard from him since, and due to Violet's like, you know, like email messages, where I just thought that maybe I'll have a chance to talk to him again. But no, he's been pretty busy and stuff. Like he's still like in those group chats and stuff. I no longer have access to those group chats no more, because they've all decided to kind of like, you know, I don't want to talk to you no more. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But I just thought maybe with Clash, I would still have some sort of communication with him and all that stuff. And all I remember was he said that I don't mind, but, you know, I've been really busy with like Connecticut and stuff, so I don't know how busy I'm gonna be. And then, you know, he's still dating and stuff, so I don't know. But all I remember was hopefully soon I'll hear something from him, because I really do miss talking to him, because his stories were crazy all the time. And that was like the only two that I remembered that was like the craziest thing. Other than that, it was kind of like random encounters with his exes, and how that resulted. And then you know, like his grandma and mom are just like grounding him for the most weirdest things. Like I shared so many of those combos in my personal Facebook that, you know, everybody was just like, what is going on with this dude? And I said, I don't know. He's always been this way. He's always had an interesting life. And I don't mind sharing stories about that with him, because like he decided to share that with me, and he said it was fine to share it anyway, because he said like it's not like I'm hiding or anything, you know, like if there's some of these stories that sound wrong, that's just gonna sound wrong to these people, and for the right people that find it funny, you know, they find it funny. And I was like, and I'm one of those people that find it funny, because like how would you even handle those type of situations, especially with getting confused as David Tennant, or an 18-year-old girl at the time that smacked you in the butt in a Hot Topic place. It's just so weird, you guys. I don't know. But all I know is that like he never had any contact with that girl at all after that, because he was like, okay, this is one of the stuff I need to move. I really do, because I'm like, I already had somebody assault me in a mall. And I'm so glad she was not a minor. And at the time, you know, I was going through so much drama and crap with like my ex-boyfriend and this and this and this. And I don't know, it was just so funny. But anyway, that will end this week's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Next week, I'm not sure what I'm going to be sharing about, but I've had a lot of feedback from my friends from the previous videos, and they want me to talk about like my ex-boyfriend that I met before my my husband. And you know, they want me to talk about him because a lot of people knew him, and I was like, sure, I'll talk about him in next week's episode or something. But I just wanted to see if I can finish, you know, these online friends first, and then I'll talk about him, because it's a long video coming. It really was, because a lot of my friends knew him. They knew some details about him and stuff, and then, you know, I'm just ready to, you know, to share the tea, basically, or to spill the tea. And through those feedbacks, like, I've had more information that I honestly forgot about, so it's like updated tea throughout this whole time. So I'm ready to spill it and see, you know, what was my experience like throughout this thing. And you know, and then maybe there might be some details that my friends or my family forgot about when it came to this certain, you know, ex-boyfriend of mine. So hopefully they'll be like, oh my god, like, we did not know that. You know, I don't know. But there are some there, because, and also not because of that, it was because there was a lot of like my friends here in Texas that have asked me questions about like my previous relationships, and I didn't know how to answer it. And because like I was just going through like these mental health thing when it came to like my my brother-in-law at the time living with us. So it was kind of like really hard to come up with an answer when you've been concentrating on, you know, making things better for me and my husband to live in and stuff. So it was like there was a lot of things that happened back then in 2018 and 2019. So I was like, well, now that I finally had some time now in 2022 to talk about it, I might as well talk about it. And since it is still some updated tea and stuff, so I can't wait to spill it all, and hopefully I'll have all the information gathered till then. So there you go. So hopefully you guys have a good day and have a good week, and I'll see you guys in the next week's video. Okay, bye everyone.